All right, so the second half preview in the AL West, this division's pretty easy. The Houston Astros are going to win this division. They finished up the first half at 59-32. After all of the talk of the New York Yankees in the first half on a historic pace, the Astros are only 4.5 games behind them right now for the first seed in the American League. They've been playing great baseball. They are going to win that division despite another team, the Mariners, playing really good baseball as well, and on the longest win streak we've seen there since 2001. They're 51-42, but still 9 games back. But this division is wrapped up. But to continue talking about it, I want to welcome in some good friends, great writers for us here at MLB on Fox. Jake Mintz, Jordan Shusterman here live in studio with me. Gentlemen, hello.
Oh, hello, Ben.
First off, I need your favorite All-Star Game experience from each of you. We're back in studio. We just came back. All-Star Game was yesterday.
Yes.
We'll start with Jordan. What was your favorite thing?
Well, from the whole week, I mean, it got to go back to the Derby. I mean, we're going to talk about Julio, I'm sure, but what an experience for that final to have Pujols with the upset of Schwarber and have a guy literally half his age in Julio be in the final against Soto, who's obviously in the news. It was an amazing night.
You would pick Julio.
Yeah, I would.
I'm going to go with during intros, there are, we do the intros every year where, Jake Mintz, and then you wave, right? And most of them run together, but I will never forget Jazz Chisholm. From yesterday before the game, he wasn't playing. He had the shades on, shades that you usually don't see being worn with a baseball uniform. And it was a very understated hello, just I'm cooler than all of you. Thanks for watching. Right back to his mark. I loved it. Loved it.
That was really cool. I really appreciate that. The glasses he wears is just another level. Mine, in case you were wondering, you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you. It's a two-way tie. One, talking to my brother on the red carpet, and my sister-in-law and my niece, really cool moment. And I got the best wave of all time from Shohei, which was really cool for me because you guys
Good eye contact?
Great eye contact.
Yeah.
Good. Not like a... See it. It was like, oh my God, it's Ben.
I know you were tweeting about me a lot.
Well, we know he's coordinated, so I expect a good, strong-armed wave.
That's true.
So,
that's true.
Just finished up over here talking about who I think will win the AL West, and I don't think that's a hot take. But first off, I want to get your opinion on the Seattle Mariners before we get into a section that I'm calling playoffs or vacation.
Porque no los dos, Ben.
Now, we will get to that soon. But first off, let's stick in this AL West and talk about the Mariners. Jordan, you're a big Mariners fan. They've won 1 million games in a row is what I hear right now.
They have.
So let's talk about them. And,
Yeah, man. I mean, it's really been a crazy run. Slow start for them. After winning 90 games last year with what felt like a true talent, 76, 77 win team, this is a very different experience where the roster looked really good coming into the year. And to have that slow start, it was like, man, this is so disappointing. I mean, they've overcorrected to a pretty amazing degree over the last few weeks. 14 games in a row into the break, but the schedule is about to get a lot harder. They've got the Astros, they've got the Yankees coming up, and it's not even about catching the Astros in the division. It's just about holding your own in this wild card race. But it's a good roster, and their pitching has been really good since Robbie Ray's turned it around. That has really changed a lot. And it's a really legitimate pitching staff, and the offense is starting to get healthier. We're going to see Kyle Lewis, and Mitch Haniger hopefully coming back in the next month, which should only help. And, Julio, we could talk about him all day. He speaks for himself at this point. So I think they're pretty legit. I think they're going to hang around, and as a fan, it's been pretty amazing to watch.
It is hard to have any kind of bad Mariners thoughts in your head right now trying to analyze them because we haven't seen them fail or, literally not win a game in over 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, I mean, when they take the field, on Friday, it'll have been 3 weeks since they last lost
the break
game.
is the worst thing that could have happened to the Mariners.
In some ways, yes, but again, the vibes were still pretty good with Julio this week. So
during media day, Jordan, this was great. Jordan asked Ty France if he could remember the last time they lost.
And he was like, it was one of those games. Yeah, which, again, you're playing well when you literally can't remember.
I saw a great tweet on the Twitter machine recently that said 9 in a row for the American League. Yeah. Not impressed. No. Tell me when you catch the Mariners. Now, that comes from Cespedes Family Barbecue, which is you guys. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I've started to pick up on this. I believe when it starts with a capital letter, Jake is the one that sends the tweet.
There you go.
And when it starts with a lowercase letter, it is Jordan that sends the tweet.
Secret sauce. It's funny and important to make.
That was me.
Jake was the one tweeting about the Mariners.
That's what kind of threw me off. But then I saw the capital. I'm like, wait, this was.
There you go.
He's
riding the wave as well. So I think. How can you not? And look, the thing that I've already started to realize this year is if this continues, and this was even true at the end of last season, the national audience is going to be rooting for them, right?
Yeah.
Like they are in the same way that even with the Cubs to some degree in 16, it was cool to, be pulling for them. And then as soon as they won, it was quite the opposite. But I really do think most people are going to be rooting for the Mariners.
No one hates the Mariners.
Yeah.
No fan base wakes up in the morning.
That's not true, but they shouldn't.
Who hates the Mariners?
Oh, there's some angry
haters?
in-division fans
So,
that we don't need to mention.
We can keep talking about the Mariners, but I want to get to a segment now called Playoffs or Vacation. Now, you might be wondering, where is this segment going? And that'd be a great question. But just to summarize it, I'm going to give you a team, and you both individually are going to pick whether the team is in the playoffs come October or on vacation.
I gotta say, Ben, I think in October you need to maintain, if you do make the playoffs, a mindset of being on vacation. Because if you're a playoff team, you don't want to press too hard. You don't want to
stay loose. You gotta play loose.
You gotta play loose like you're on vacay at all times, dude.
So I want to start with the non-diehard Mariners fan here. We'll start with Jake. Mariners, playoffs or vacation come October?
Playoffs.
Just give it to me straight.
Playoffs.
Okay.
Playoffs. I have watched a lot of the teams in the American League East. None of them are particularly impressive to me. I think that the Mariners will benefit from getting to play the Angels, Rangers, and A's a lot, whereas all the teams in the East are going to beat themselves up. And I think when the dust settles and the chips all fall, the Mariners will be in their first postseason since 2001.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jordan?
I am definitely starting to get closer to believing. Part of me definitely wants to just reverse jinx this as hard as I possibly
Right
can.
now.
And say,
What are you saying?
no way they're making it. No way, because then I'll either be right or way happier. But I agree. I think, again, you just look at the roster talent. It's not like last year where it was smoke and mirrors and it was like, oh my God, are they going to sneak in? They're a really good team. And I think when you compare to these other teams that have been much more injured, I know they've dealt with their injuries too, I think they are going to sneak in as well. I think they're going to be one of those teams.
And I think a big key for them, Lewis and Haniger coming back. We really forgot how good Mitch Haniger is.
Yeah.
I mean, he carried that
he
team
was
down the stretch
he
last
was
year.
single-handedly doing it last season. He hasn't even been a part of this year.
So, Jake, I want to, you're writing something or working on something here at Fox with the Mariners involving Suarez. Talk a little bit about that and this article.
So, ahead of today, I was thinking about records, right? We're halfway through the year, and it's like, there are some seasons where we have players chasing, milestones or marks, and we don't necessarily have something that notable and that big this year. But the one that jumped out to me is Eugenio Suarez, the third baseman for the Mariners, is within range of the all-time single-season strikeout record. The record is 223 whiffs in a year. It was set by Mark Reynolds, I believe, when he was on the Diamondbacks in 2008.
He had a good year that year.
He had a great year that year. And this is the thing about this record. To have enough plate appearances to strike out that much, the rest of your at-bats need to be really good. Suarez has been one of the biggest surprises for the Mariners this year.
And considering he was, in that big trade with Cincinnati, it was like they're getting all-star Jesse Winker, and then Suarez, they're just taking on his contract, which I always thought was overblown. I mean, again, he came into the year with more home runs than any other player in baseball over the last 4 seasons. So when he hits home runs, that's what he does, of course. So I think Suarez is a great player.
He's
his
a great
defensive
player,
third's been good
he's
as well.
a great example of the modern, lot of strikeouts, a lot of home runs player, where he's going to probably finish with 30 homers, and he's probably going to finish with 200 Ks, and that he'll be able to balance both of those two very, seemingly different things. I'm very interested in. Will he make history? I would bet against it. 223 that's a lot of Ks, dude.
Long way to
So
go.
my choice for the Mariners is that they are in the playoffs. I'm going to say they are in. I said it before
3 for 3,
the year.
baby.
I said they were breaking the drought. The drought will be finished. The longest professional drought in American major sports belongs to the Seattle Mariners. I predicted before the year it would end. I am predicting now that it does end as well. What they did with this team was just too good. Now we're seeing Robbie Ray turn it around. This year has transformed for him. He picked up his two-seamer again. He's been fantastic. I like the Mariners in. Next team for you, both.
Yes.
Chicago White Sox, playoffs or vacation come October?
So let me first say that when I was looking at the standings, I thought they were way farther back. The way that they've been playing, it feels like they're way farther back than 3 games. But they're right there. They're at 500. That said, vibes opposite of Seattle. Now, they've certainly dealt with injuries as well, but it has just not clicked. When we looked at this lineup, it was like they're going to be one of the best offenses in there. They have all these great starting pitchers, and you have Lynn out and, Lucas hurt and not quite as good as he has been. Cease has been amazing. He should have been an all-star.
Yeah.
But the bullpen has been disappointing as well. I do not think they're going to make it. I don't think they're this bad, but I also think that Cleveland being maybe better than expected and Minnesota playing well, I think it's just going to be a little bit too crowded for them. I would bet against them. I say vacation and not a great. They're not going to be going into that vacation feeling good.
Okay.
I'll take vacation, and that's because Tony La Russa has been on a mental vacation for the last 2 years since he was given leadership of this team. Zero faith. Why would I have any faith in this team to make a run down the stretch? They have not inspired confidence over the first half. There's an array of injuries. The front office has not built enough depth there for those injuries those players to be replaced. AJ Pollock hasn't been very good this year. Moncada's been really disappointing. Like you said, Lynn has been hurt, and I'm just like, I look around that division, and I just think Cleveland and Minnesota are better baseball teams.
Yeah.
The White Sox might have better players.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It seems crazy to write them off because there's just so many other guys that can go on these crazy hot streaks. I mean, Luis Robert especially, right? We thought he could be blossoming into an MVP candidate. He's been merely good. So maybe we're underselling them considering they're not mathematically that far out of it. But it certainly does not feel like a postseason.
So I'm going to switch it up from you guys, and I am going to say that they are in the playoffs. And the reason I think this, and this is coming fairly recently, but the biggest series of the year to this point for the leader in that division and the White Sox came right before the break. Twins, White Sox, 4-game set. White Sox take 3 of 4, looked really good in that series, and I think they can use that. I think they can propel. I think now they know. Confidence is huge. They know they can beat them. They know they're the better team. Everyone knows they're the better team on paper. Now, there's a lot to be said about, how you play as a team, the camaraderie in the locker room, how you feel about your manager, which can't be great. But at a certain point, I just have to believe. I refuse to believe they're not going to turn it on and be at least the best team in the American League Central.
So you're saying they're going to win the division.
I am saying they are going to win the division.
And again, they're 3 games back.
I think they have a better chance of winning the division than they have of getting in as a wild card.
Yeah, because the other teams are going to be better.
Yeah.
The one thing that we haven't talked about with them, their defense sucks.
Is poopy.
Bad. And so when we look at like a spreadsheet of players' names, we look at their offensive statistics, right?
Yeah.
But defense matters. I've heard from people that it even wins some championships. So make sure you're not overlooking defense with this team.
All right, we got 2 saying vacation and myself saying playoffs. Last one for you guys. Tampa Bay Rays. We'll start with Jake. Playoffs or vacation?
I just need to do the math of the teams in my head.
Also,
there's so many spots.
With three postseason, with 3 wildcard teams now, it really does feel a lot more open. But so many of these teams are so right in that same range, and it's going to be really, really fun down the stretch.
So my heart wants to take Cleveland over them because I really like watching the Guardians play. But I do think Tampa will have enough. They have had just awful luck with injuries this year. So I'm going to go with playoffs for them. My 3 playoff wildcard teams are going to be Tampa, Toronto, and Seattle.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards a yes for them as well, although, again, on paper, I think they're definitely behind Toronto, and I think Seattle, you could say as well. But you could say, I would certainly never say that. But Tampa's so weird. But why would I doubt them? It's the opposite of some of the other teams in the league where you never believe it because it's like, oh, they'll mess it up.
There's the famous Sam Miller tweet that's like, "Love this Rays trade. Who'd they get? Who'd they give up?"
Right, because it just doesn't matter.
We trust what they do at all times.
And now, and some of those moves, for example, recently have put them in a really good position. Isaac Paredes, Harold Ramirez, not necessarily the huge big ticket free agents that we talk about all winter, but they have saved their season offensively, with Wander out. And so I feel like they have a couple moves to make at the deadline, and I trust their front office to make those moves, and I do think Tampa will sneak in. I agree with those.
Yeah, I think the key for them that's been really tough is that Wander hurt, missing a lot of time. Taylor Wells and Vidal Brujan were 2 top prospects who a lot of people thought would slot in. They had a lot of middle infield depth, and both of them have really, really struggled at the plate and haven't filled that role. And so until Wander's back, I do have a little bit of doubts of who's going to play shortstop for them as Willy Adames is crushing it over in Milwaukee.
So I have them in the playoffs as well, and So you both have the same 3 teams in. So that leaves, and we don't need to spend a ton of time here, but you're both picking the Red Sox, myself as well, to be on vacation.
Yeah.
I am.
October.
And honestly, I'm not sure who I'm picking between Cleveland and Minnesota for the division win. And that's tough. I know you didn't ask me that, but like that's the other part of this equation here, right? Because that's the other team that is worth mentioning because they're still right there too. I know we said no to the White Sox, but it's really tough. But Boston. I don't know.
Seeing Chris Sale's finger bent in 8 different directions the other day.
That's tough.
Was like, no, thank you. Jackie Bradley Jr. is just so abysmal at the bottom of that lineup. Verdugo's been underwhelming. Like, Devers can only do so much.
Yeah, as big as the Sale injury is, like, I'm just concerned about the bottom of that lineup. It's just not been good this season.
Kike Hernandez, potentially the most disappointing player in the entire league this year.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, fellas, for joining me.
Absolutely.
Jake Mintz, Jordan Shusterman, Cespedes Family Barbecue. These guys are great. Check out their stuff, even though Jake is writing about a good friend of mine, Eugenio Suarez, and how he might strike out.
No.
But
Breaking the
get off the
strikeout
set.
record is a
Get
good
out of
thing.
here.
We're gone.
Breaking the strikeout record is a good thing.
Thanks for watching. If you love Flippin Bats, swinging 3-0, or just talking ball, join us. Call us at 213-537-9339 with your questions. We have a weekly guest, and we have a lot of fun, so hit that subscribe button.